we started as a bunch of Wimbledon fans right at the very, very early stage. So we were building our stadium back in Plough Lane. We ran out of money. We're a fan-owned club. It was basically proposed to us that we would give up fan ownership and accept outside investment. We didn't agree. So a group of us got going and raised money so that we could complete the stadium and retain fan ownership. We did a good job of that. It was basically the biggest bond raise in English football. That was a few weeks later. We'd raised a few £1 million, and then COVID hit, and we had this group of volunteers that had been helping raise the money. I messaged the group and said, "Hey, let's do something." And the next few hours that day, on the 15th of March 2020, was mad. Everyone was saying, yeah, they'd love to do stuff. And five days later, we've got ourselves a hub at the Old Rutt Sports Club in the middle of Merton, because they had to close because of COVID. So we were using that as a place where we could bring all the food that we collected from the shops, and we'd set up outside our first shop 5 days after, so on the 20th of March, in the middle of Wimbledon. And yeah, that's how it started. So it started with Wimbledon fans, but it's evolved to include many other groups, and we reached we've attracted over 2,000 volunteers during that journey. So it's been quite a crazy thing.
Do you think that now this is something that will continue? Were you expecting it to just be a group that existed during the early stages of moving back to Plough Lane and during the pandemic?
I don't think we really had time to have those thoughts, to be honest. We just cracked on. We were needed. Lots of people were falling through the gaps and needed support. So we weren't really thinking that far ahead. So and over the next few months we evolved, because what we realized was COVID was really just covering up poverty issues in our community anyway. So we've become very much about poverty, of course, rather than COVID now. So we exist to fight the effects of poverty in southwest London, whether that is food or digital or furniture. That's what we do.
I'm sure it's great that you're there to help, but I'm sure it's also equally concerning how many people need that help, I imagine, in the local community.
It's really concerning, and you hear people in this sort of arena all the time say we'd rather we weren't there, and we absolutely would rather we weren't needed, right? But we are, unfortunately, and there are some, demand for what we're doing has gone up 70% since September. That's not a year or two, that is in a matter of months. There are all sorts of horrible stats around. There's 2.2 million children living in poverty in the UK. In April this year, the Food Foundation said that 2 million people went without food in an entire day. So we're in the middle of something pretty horrible, and we just got to do everything we can to support our community through it. We operate in 3 boroughs. We operate in Merton, Wandsworth, and Kingston, and there absolutely are areas of those boroughs that have a lot of long-standing poverty. But what we're finding now is that you've got people who are completely new to poverty for whatever reason. Of course people in work. That doesn't, just because they're in work doesn't stop them from being in poverty, as we hear about all the time in the news. So there's a very, very big area of southwest London that we cover, and there is plenty of poverty within those areas.
So how are you helping people at the moment? I saw the big sleep out happened recently. I'm assuming that, I think the good news was it probably happened before this particularly cold spell.
Yeah, I mean, last year, this was the second one. So last year's was actually a bit colder, and Merton Council were advising or were basically bringing in all the homeless people into hotels. When we did our first one, it was a couple of degrees warmer this time around. That was a vital fundraiser. As I say, we're experiencing much higher demand, so we've got to get stronger. We've got to be in a really good position to, you know, to be able to meet the demand that we've got. So what we're doing at the moment, we do pretty much the same. You know, 365 days a year, we collect food from outside shops. So we speak to people who very kindly pop items on the table on the way out. And after we told them what we need when they're on the way in, and then we take it back to our hub. We put it into 1 week food boxes, and we take it out to the people that need it. And then we do kind of similar principle with laptops and furniture. So we bring in the laptops, wipe them, restore them, and take them out to the kids that the schools refer to us. And furniture, just similar principle. So it's really fast moving. We've got a very, very big army of volunteers that is involved, and it's, you know, there's lots of good to come out of it. There's a real spirit of community that I think COVID's created a lot of new volunteers, people that realised that, you know, even in the depths of COVID, it was, you know, people would knock on neighbours' doors for the first time in years. And that's hopefully that's continued, and there's a lot of healthy things that have come from it. So yeah, we're it's not all doom and gloom. Of course, the underlying issue is bad, but there's plenty of positive to come from it. Volunteering itself, and we're always in need of volunteers. But volunteering itself it can be a really positive mental health thing for many people. So yeah, we're here to stay for sure.
It does sound like, though, more and more people are relying on you.
Yeah, they are. There's no easy way of saying it, but yeah, the poverty situation around us is pretty dramatic, and it's not going to get any easier.
And people will feel that they need to do something special at Christmas. There is that pressure on them, regardless of their financial circumstances. Yeah,
there really is, and I think there's also, you know, this isn't just about kind of ticking a box and serving a need. This isn't about just taking people food so they can eat and survive. That's obviously a major part of it, but what you're also taking them is hope and dignity. So you don't want to just give them, you know, cheap, horrible food. We put lots of fruit and veg in our boxes. We think that's important. The fact that they know we're coming shows that, you know, there are people out there that do care about them. So, and at Christmas, you know, we do try hard to collect stuff from shoppers that gives them something, gives them Christmassy things and treats and presents at that time that perhaps they couldn't, or no, perhaps that they couldn't afford, right? So yeah, it's not just food so they can exist.
And who'd have thought that this connection to your local football club would have spread even further to help so many more people?
Yeah, and football's got its amazing power to do that. And you look around and you see the news headlines, and I think we've got a really unique model out there in terms of, you know, we don't put the box just in a store and hope people put food in it, and it's great that people do that, because that clearly is better than not having them. But by having people outside shops that talk to the shoppers about what we're doing and the impact, and we ask them, you know, real humans asking real humans to help, you know, kind of just changes it a bit. And to have, you know, there's football clubs and other sports clubs all around the country that could be doing similar stuff, and it would be amazing if they did, because you know, Southwest London is just one area, and there's just so many other parts of the country that really could do with help. So yeah, I hope it does spread, because you know, things are going to be hard for a while.